Hey, hi, hello, and welcome to the Afterparty, where though there are two folks that look like Rowan, only one Amanda here on the call. Please say hello to the listeners and tell them how many of you have dialed in today.
Ooh, it's me. Hello, I'm Julia. There's 3 of me, but one is doing laundry right now and the other one's getting dinner ready. So
what a dream.
I'm here on this call.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Is that what they mean when they say the third shift?
Yes, that is what they mean.
Hello, I'm Brandon. Hello, I'm James. Hello, I'm Grugle.
Wow.
There's also 3 of us, but we're all named for our different parts of my name. And we're all kind of just sitting here doing nothing because that's sort of what Brandons do. It's just sort of
famously
do nothing. We're kind of lazy, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have invented all of you, so there's only one of me. I don't do experiments on myself. I'm
Smart.
fine,
Good
actually.
Smart.
Yeah.
That's the hubris, really, of every single mad scientist, right? Is like they keep doing the experiments on themselves, and then whoops, you're the fly, ma'am.
Whoops.
Whoops, you're Jeff Goldblum.
Suddenly you're Doc Ock, and your glasses aren't just crazy, it's your tentacles.
And also your
My
haircut.
favorite thing about The Fly, and Julia, please correct me because I don't think I've never seen The Fly because it makes me upset. But my favorite thing about it was like, was it a teleportation device or was he trying to meld himself with the fly?
No, it was a teleportation device, and then he melts himself with the fly accidentally because the fly get in
That's
there.
my favorite part. My favorite part is like he was a big oopsie.
Yeah.
And then it's like, wait, what if it was cool if you were a fly?
All mad science is just a big oopsie when you think about it.
That's what I say.
You don't. I think that's all science, Julia. It's oopsie and then a lot of paperwork about the oopsie.
Yeah.
Oopsie and then a lot of paperwork.
Well, speaking of science oopsies and multiple of us being here, I'm going to kick off with some great questions about the podcast itself before we get into the absolutely wild shenanigans that have happened these last 3 episodes. Here's a question from Elizabeth F. For the crew, how do you decide when to remove players from earshot versus not when, quote, splitting the party? I've noticed sometimes players are kicked out, other times they can listen in and occasionally provide commentary. It prompts the full removal. Now, to me, this is somewhat a question of instinct, but Eric, what do you think?
Well, I removed Brandon because he doesn't shut the fuck up when he's not in scenes.
That's fair.
I'm sorry, I want to make the podcast have jokes and be fun.
Oh, yeah.
Dad.
When do the thing I want. Do the thing that's good for Milo. Yeah, for sure.
But no, Eric, for real, when do you decide, to remove a player? To me, it is often around if we have access to the information and if what's happening to another character when our character would have no way of knowing what's going on there, if that could impact our decision making, then it feels to me like that is an instance where you have physically separated us and recorded scenes separately.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, talking about something that we just did in the Funbratorium, it's like when you all split, when Roan went to go meet with Todrick Swapper, and then the other 2 went to go to the Hall of Mirrors. It's like, there is no way anyone would understand what anything is going on right here. There are also times where it's like being separated is the point. I'm thinking about times from like in Campaign 3, like when our favorite T-Witch got sent to the middle of the labyrinth. It's like, no, Julia is somewhere else. Like, you cannot talk to Julia. Amanda and Brandon need to figure out this game mechanics by themselves. That felt really important. So, yeah, I think it's like, if intentionally, whether through game mechanics or through, like, narrative reasons, you're, like, 100% separated, that would be the reason why. That's one of the principles of masks, which is like everyone is that you're supposed to try to isolate you're supposed to isolate different players so that they get their time to shine. Whether it's like a villain like collapses a wall and then what do? So it's like that's something I have to do anyway, but deciding whether or not to send you out of the room I think is just for funsies.
Oh, that's cool. Like giving moments in, because I at least have not read the GM portion of the Masks books.
Don't. It's so tiring. Don't do it.
But giving people like solos, like as if we're in band, like they have a solo to be able to shine and solve a problem.
Yeah.
That reminds me of the trolley problem from Campaign 2, which was a real stressful solo moment.
If you are a player in a Powered by the Apocalypse game, don't read the GM stuff. Just don't, because it reminds me of what it's like to have anxiety, where it's like, here's 25 things to think about. They might not pop up, but you need to keep all of them in your head at the same time. I'm like, no, I don't like that.
We play games for escapism, not to be reminded.
It's really interesting that's like now that I'm thinking about the splitting the party stuff, like as a DM, because obviously I love it and it makes sense on a podcast, but I don't do that when I'm DMing people for funsies, which is not very often. But I always think of like D&D / role playing as like a team sport. And so I'm always asking like the group, like, what do y'all want to do, you know?
But sometimes you just want a special moment.
Brandon's just really upset. I keep sending him out of the room because he's doing good jokes. No, it's
No, I just do good pizza.
No, yeah, Brandon leaves and makes a pizza while everyone else is doing stuff.
Yeah.
No, I think it's definitely, I think the fact that we have 3 players is also part of that. And splitting the party in Dungeons and Dragons is inherently dangerous. Like, the game is made that's what CR is. That's what the challenge rating is. It's like, what is the level of a party of 4 people? What is the level? How difficult is it? What level should you be to fight this to a draw or for you to win by the skin of your teeth?
Right.
So splitting the party is always going to be a danger in Dungeons and Dragons. It matters a little bit less in Masks because like there's no punishment other than you are there by yourself, so you can't like use team, for example, or you're going to take all of the hits on the chin because you're the only target. There's nothing like inherently bad about it here, especially because I have to spend a lot of time spotlighting as is required for the principles empowered by the apocalypse. But like, you know, in Dungeons and Dragons, it's like you want to let your players cook. And I think D&D players also inherently want to split the party because it's like, it sounds fun. It's like there's something you shouldn't do, so you do it anyway. But, you know, every single time I've ran D&D stuff for you guys, other than when I'm like doing specifically something for each player, it's like, it's up to you if you guys want to split the party. And I think 50% of the time you do it anyway.
50% or 90?
I was being nice. I meant 90.
Whatever the half of the pizza is, it's the half you want, you know? It's the half in the majority. All right. Great question, Elizabeth. Thank you. Here are some questions from Becca and Eric. What playbook would you have loved to GM for? And what playbook are you so effing glad is not in this party?
Oh, well, the one that I've played when I was the Masks is the Star. The Star, I think, is a social media famous child. And like that was really interesting when they came up with it. I think it was in the first extension. So it was kind of interesting when it was like 2016, 2018, but now it feels very poorly used, and having like a media savvy superhero is like kind of a boring trope now. I think like, you know, only when they do kind of a good job is like, you know, they made Black Cat in the Spider-Man video games. She like had like a thing. And it was fine. Like it was fine. But like having a TikTok famous supervillain is not cool or cute anymore. And like having pressure from having an audience, like that's not a fun thing to explore anymore. It's just kind of the truth.
Oh, Eric, is that related to our day jobs at all? Would that have like kind of a weird resonance with something that we do every day anyway?
It's related to the world, I think. I read an article that was like every single company is now a media company. If you have to have a social media presence and you have to have a video editor, regardless if you sell corrugated steel or you're a media company, you know what I mean? So I'm glad that I didn't do it anymore, although I had a lot of fun playing that by myself.
Yeah, our home campaign in 2020. And yeah, even since 2020, the sort of proliferation of social and being a person in public with an audience, no matter what your profession is definitely not as prescient as it was, I would say, when that playbook was authored. Well, Eric, how about a playbook that you wish you could have GM'd for in this party?
Oh, can you guys remind me of ones you wanted to do that because it's like...
I really liked the past and present, I guess, or future. I forget if it was like the past or the double one
from the future,
where it's time traveler to the future / past and your current self. I think it's the future because it's like I can't reveal things to you.
That was my playbook, Eric, in 2020. I don't remember what the type was.
There was one that was like the Harbinger or like the Nomad, where it's like you come back from
what I played. Yeah,
you come back from the future and then things are bad. The one that I really like, you reminded me, Brandon, is like you are a child from the past. You're like a 1970s or 1950s or 1980s like Robin type, and then you go forward in time to the present, and your current iteration is like a washed up loser who's 50.
Yeah, that might be the one I'm thinking of. Yeah, that one was fun.
That one would have been really cool.
Yeah.
Mine was the Harbinger, which is like, something that's terrible that's going to happen in the future, but you can't quite. And like your moment of truth is related to like unlocking what that was and being able to deal with it.
I really like the Yanis, but obviously that doesn't work very well for our campaign.
The Yanis? What's the Yanis?
The masked character, like you have two faces, like the Roman god of transformation with two faces, the beginnings and ending. And in this case, it's like the one character arc that is literally like, I have a secret identity and I keep it from people. But also one of the ones that I had written down was the Innocent, which I think was the one that we were talking about, where it's like you're from the past and then you go into the future. Time travel is great, or so you thought, until you landed in a strange new world with dark, broken, damaged, dangerous adult version of yourself.
Same.
Not what you had wanted to become. Question is, what are you going to do about it? And I thought that was a really cool idea.
Another question from Becca and this is for this specific campaign. Eric, how long have you been seeding the Rick Powers without powers, who is Rick reveal?
I think that was his character the entire time. I think it was very obvious to me of him being the number one boy. And going into the senior seminar that first time, it's like Rick is number one for a reason, and that's explicitly what we're talking about in Masks, right? Like, who are you as a teenager as opposed to you as a superhero? And it's like, who the algorithm would probably put number one is the one who is all superhero, no teenager. So that's been his character it's like, that didn't feel like a reveal to me. I'm like, no, that's just Rick's character. Like, that's just who he is.
Mm-hmm.
And Becca's final question for players. How has your approach to in-game romance and also character interactions among other PCs changed while playing teenaged superheroes?
That is an interesting question.
Yeah, at least for me, I don't know if it's because of Rowan's specific character. I do tend to play guarded characters, pretty frequently, but she just seems less guarded with her team. Like, I think her loyalty is easier won, and her ability to, be honest with you guys and like change her mind and then say what she thinks is also stronger than I think someone like Aggie, where I think she would have had a much tougher time asking for help, and Troy didn't have quite enough going on up there to obscure much of anything apart from the Prince reveal.
I also feel like, in particular, playing a teenager, Kraft isn't particularly like romance focused. I think there's moments where Kraft's like, that's hot. And it's because and then we move on because there is something about the like fleeting, like, am I attracted to this person? Am I not attracted to this person? Of teenageness that I think is fun to play with in this particular genre and setting.
Yeah, I think like the way I communicate, or the way that teens communicate, specifically, i.e. poorly, is like sort of the way that changes interactions. Like you're not good at expressing, or you're purposefully obfuscating your actual feelings when you're actually talking to someone. Like, obviously we can talk about what the character is speaking in their own head about, or thinking about in their own head. Mm-hmm. But like when you're actually speaking to the other character, you just haven't developed the communication skills that you need later in life. So
less filtered, less guarded, less veiled.
Well, I think it's both. It's that, or it's more. Like, but there's no middle ground. There's no like actual
no
like
deftness.
Yeah, there's no deftness. There's no social grace. There's no like, like the thing you develop after many, many relationships of like romantic or otherwise, of how to actually speak to someone and say what you need and explain how you're actually feeling. You just haven't developed that ability yet.
Yeah.
I think we definitely saw that with Connor and his aunt in this arc for sure.
Yeah.
And that's something that I have to rely on a lot. It's like, if I introduce adults to you, like adults are not perfect, but teenagers were like definitely not perfect.
Here is a great question from No Hugs, Just Bugs. I'm curious how the rest of Jupiter feels about and interacts with Water's Edge. With the fire department being so far away, are the students ever called upon as a first line of defense? Do some students offer their services in town, whether it be for safety or birthday parties? The dynamics of there being a superhero school in an otherwise normal neighborhood are so fascinating to me.
Now I'm picturing a side hustle of like a wind guy doing balloon art
Right?
as a side hustle. That's very funny.
Your kid likes kites. You're worried about the wind. Do I have a solution for you?
Well, I was going to say, yeah, Julia, close your ears, because is there a clown superhero?
Yeah, right.
Hate that. Not a fan. But imagine you're like a shapeshifter and you do like your side hustle is being the princesses at princess
Yeah.
parties for little kids.
Or illusions, and you can do makeup, but it doesn't have to, like, you know, make the kids
Ooh.
break out in a rash. I was never allowed to do makeup as a kid. My mom was correctly like, that's disgusting.
I'm sure the students are called upon as the first line of defense for a lot of stuff, as we've seen, at least for security, at least for the school, you know?
I don't think personally that this small town should be using child labor for their public emergencies, but that's just me.
I think it's more like a summer job, you know?
I wonder if there's tension between the town and the school, because the town needing to rely on the rotating cast of characters, no pun intended, to like fix their problems, I'm sure is not like a good policy for the mayor of Jupiter. So there's a lot of interesting stuff. I think a lot of this stuff definitely happens, but because we're focusing so much on the school, it's like we haven't gotten the chance to necessarily be in town all that much.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's interesting to think about. Like, if you were in your little town that you live in now, and you had a person who had a water superpowers, like, would your town maintain a firefighting squad? Seems like an awful waste of tax money, you know?
But they might disappear. Like, they might be at the school and then be gone. It reminds me a lot of like very Friday Night Lights football stuff, where it's like the town revolves around how good the 17-year-old playing quarterback does, you know? And it's like, then what happens? And then they leave, but then there's a new crew who comes in. So it's like, either you get very attached to someone who is going to be around for the maximum of 4 years, and if they stay around more, they're a burnout. So that wasn't really the point in the first place. But it's like, what if someone just gets whisked away in the middle of their sophomore year?
Yeah.
That's also something that totally happens.
Yeah.
So it's definitely complicated, and a reason why I wanted the school to be like in the lake next to this suburb.
Yeah, you have to have that infrastructure available for you. You can't rely on one sole person to be in charge of doing all the fires in town.
Guys, this is what it's like. Can you tell I spent 5 hours this weekend watching the Billy Joel documentary? Yes, I did.
Oh, no.
It's like when Billy Joel's having a concert and his good personal friend Bruce Springsteen happens to be in attendance. You're going to bring Bruce up to do a solo, like a duet. But, you know, if Bruce isn't there that day, you're not going to plan on Bruce being there. You're going to, you know how to do it on your own. But if he's there, might as well pitch in.
I don't
That's
see.
what I'm saying.
I agree with y'all completely, but I think it's more complicated of a question because, like, even on a think of it on like a larger level, like, yeah, we might still have NASA, but like, is it a waste of your limited budget to build a chemical rocket when someone can just fly you to the moon? You know, like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's more complicated than that than we're making it seem.
Yeah, but no one dies if we don't fly to the moon, Brandon.
Well, okay,
No one's
I know,
house
I know.
burns down if we don't fly to the moon.
It would be easier, and this is what Brandon's suggesting, that every superhero register themselves with the government.
Yeah,
Oh,
that
no.
would make it
yeah,
really easier.
exactly. And if you could if we could make some superhero handcuffs to just make them sort of like, you know, labor for us without pay, that would be great.
And maybe
you know?
the Department of Defense can fund some media about the superheroes. That would make everything so easier, so we can see how the United States government and superheroes work together.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
What a good idea, Brandon. That's so smart.
Thank you.
In all seriousness, though, like, we're only about 50 years into the proliferation of powers in, you know, upstate New York, and less than that of Lake Town City being like the metropolis. You know, this is in the timeline of Camp-Paign 2. That whole event kind of happened around the late 80s, early 90s. And here we are in the 2030s, like, figuring it out. I can imagine a world where there are people who are like retiring from the fire department being like, well, I mean, I guess they'll figure it out because, you know, when we started training, that wasn't an option. And now it is an option, and somebody somewhere has to figure it out. And as we know, you know, that sometimes takes time in institutions when we could be really, learn something from doing it more quickly. I think there's some hesitancy to adopt something new. So one reason that I appreciate that our perspective on this world is filtered through the lens of teenagers is because it is often teenagers asking the questions of like, but why is it this way? And why can't it be some other way? And other times they don't care at all. And they're like, it never occurred to me how this actually functions. So our world isn't focusing on it because that's not part of our daily lives.
Yeah, totally.
Another great question from Bugs, and one that I was curious about myself, actually. Eric, how would everything have played out in episode 17, the first episode of the Light in the Woods arc, which wins for my favorite name of the campaign so far, by the way?
Pretty dope.
How would everything have played out if the PCs had decided the fire was trying to lure them away and all of them had remained at school? Would Firehawk and Miriam have eventually shown up anyway? Asking this as a new DM who never wants to force my players to do anything, but also gets really excited about some of the side quests that I want them to go on.
Yeah, Eric, what would have happened if we had just talked to Hedgehogio about the movie Tenet for like an hour and a half?
Me, actual Brandon, would have died.
It would have been great. Hey, Bugs, what's going on? The wonderful thing about being a game master is you never need to answer this question because the point is about your notes is that no one ever needs to look at them or know what you wrote down. You should make them feel like they're a hand of cards, whether you're playing Gin Rummy or you're playing Magic the Gathering or Yu-Gi-Oh for that matter.
Rummy.
Why not?
Yeah, those are the only choice. Those are the only games, Brandon.
Not poker. It's fine.
No, but you don't play poker like this. You don't play poker like this, Brandon. You don't play cards. You just have a hand of cards.
I see.
It's about playing them in whatever order, right? It's like you can discard whatever cards and you can draw whatever cards and play whatever cards in whatever order, right?
Mm-hmm.
Those are your notes. In Dungeons and Dragons, they make you plan a lot because the burden of play is on the dungeon master. In a lot of other games, which is why a lot of the other games exist, that burden is on literally finding out what happens. Powered by the Apocalypse specifically is about finding out what happens. So like I had the character of Firehawk and Miriam written down. For all of you linguists out there, I totally forgot like most things that happen with my NPCs. Miriam's name was supposed to be Aviva, which means spring, which makes a lot more sense with the earth, but instead I wanted to fool Amanda to think that Miriam was her clone, so here we are. I totally messed up that.
Which I'm still not completely dissuaded for the record.
So if they didn't go, let's say Firehawk would have lit everything on fire and Miriam probably would have stepped up and done something about it. And then that would have been a totally different plot point. I think that was what I was trying to set up of like Miss Rita asking each of you for a favor. It's like, are you going to leave? And what happens? And then that's how, Connor got left behind. That's why we started introducing new NPCs and it kind of split off in a different way. So it's like, every choice needs to matter, and it doesn't matter what happens next because you're just playing the cause and effect game over and over and over again, which you only should be doing. And the thing powered by the Apocalypse too, I said this explicitly in Monster of the Week, but I do similar stuff in Masks. You always need to figure out what happens if the main characters do not intervene.
Oh, so you have like a plan for if we don't pull on the thread, what is the natural kind of endpoint?
Yeah, I mean, that's literally how you plan a Monster of the Week game. It's like, what happens if the monster goes unchecked? And that's like morning, noon, evening, night, etc. And like, you should have that going in your head. What happens if no one checks in and like goes to a potion store for like 2 hours? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I also think I totally agree with that. I love all of that. As a player, I don't mind being forced to like start on a journey, like railroad me in the beginning a little bit to like get into the side quest. That's totally fine. I don't mind that. And then like as long as I have choice within the quest that we're doing, I don't. It doesn't bother me. But I don't know. Maybe I'm weird. I don't know.
But also, that's like real life. Sometimes real life railroads you and like life happens to you and you have to react to the thing, right?
Julia, that's such a good way to put it. Sometimes your roof leaks and it's life railroading me that suddenly I'm on this roof side quest for the next 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Damn.
For sure.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Brandon, I do feel that way. I agree with that. It's like, I do need to give you something to do. It's like if don't have anything to do, sometimes players love having a players who say they love having a sandbox are wrong. Like, that's not true. Everyone loves little hooks to give you. And like Miss Rita saying, I need you to do this. I need you all to do me a favor, was like that. And then anything, you all could have blown her off if you really wanted to. But I think we're also a little bit more aware of what we're doing because we're recording it and it's for a piece of art. So that also might be a part of it. Playing in other games, I'm like, oh, that's right. People don't know how things are supposed to go. Like, so many players, I mean, you see this all the time, and in so many conversations about D&D, it's like players kind of like go and do whatever they want when they're not team focused or they think they're being selfish. So it's like in tables across America, you know what I mean?
Could be happening right next to you.
Yeah, we might be doing it. We might be doing it just because we're more self-aware and we have a lot of experience.
It's 11 o'clock. Do you know where your characters are? Actually, that reminds me, Eric.
It's Dungeons and Dragons somewhere. Grip.
That reminds me exactly of what something we don't think about anymore, but we took a long time to figure out and sort of develop and work with you on. Of like, I think something that a lot of new players do is a little bit like too much uncertainty, too much like, well, what do we do next? I don't want to mess up. I don't want to miss. I don't want to like, get hurt or whatever it is. Because they think too much without acting. So I think just also reminding your players that like, I'm on your side, and like, if I'm dangling something in front of you, it's not because I'm trying to trick you necessarily. So like, it's fine to just go down the path, and like, we're working together to make the story. So like, yeah, I think that's something that we have figured out over time, and that you've helped us work on, is that like, I don't have to be suspicious of the fire in the woods. I can just go look at the fire in the woods and figure out what it is.
For sure. Rocks are not going to fall on you and kill you. That I will promise you that.
Yeah.
We are co-conductors on the train of fun.
We have all cool hats.
Well, listen, speaking of Miriam, it's got to be said, this time from Pointy Purple Penguin. Eric, do you just love giving me body doubles or something? What's the deal? Why me? Why Miriam? What the hell?
What up with that?
I do. I really do. I've already discussed, I think in previous after parties, especially when the three of you were coming up with your characters, of like what all of you do when you make up new characters. And Julia's just going to do what Julia's going to do. Julie's going to cook. She's going to bring me the cake. The cake is going to be frosted. I'm going to be like, great, what a delicious cake. Oh, I didn't know there was orange in this. That's an interesting flavor. You use quite a lot of ginger. I guess I will respond to that. Mm-hmm. With Brandon, I think I made a joke about this in the most recent party planning about Brandon expressing Brandon's character as being an old man, a monster, a robot, and a ghost. It's like Brandon, and like we'll get there with Brandon, but I think he always expresses like different very much in a classic player sort of way. Like, I'm going to express things I can't express in other ways, and I'm going to do it through my main characters.
Yes, you could imagine there's all one lineage, listener. Just think about it.
An old man who wants to die, a literal ghost, a monster, and a robot who doesn't know how to feel. Yeah, for sure.
Truly, the only normal one was your Camp-Paign character.
So well adjusted.
Yeah. With Amanda, I think all of Amanda's characters are a few degrees to the left or the right of her as a person. All the way from Inara being a fantasy version of the most fantasy version of Amanda. I mean, Aggie was literally Amanda in upstate New York and how she saw herself there.
I'm currently wearing overalls and work boots, so yeah.
That's how you know.
Troy being like a himbo expression of what Amanda might have been. But of course, like Troy and Aggie had so many siblings, which is a very Amanda thing to do. And then Rowan is a very like Jewish expression of Amanda as well. So it's like, I get that. And then it's very easy to adjust 1 degree to the left and 1 degree of the right to the character that Amanda has made, which is already 2 degrees to the left or right. So it's very easy to create body doubles there. And also like what I can see, what maybe Amanda doesn't even know that she's doing that, and like, oh, I see the space that's currently around these characters, and there's a lot of different versions that you can make.
Yeah, I'll say my characters, to me, always feel very rigid as well. And so I think it's very fruitful for fiction to force them to do things they may not otherwise want to do. And so often that is someone from the past, a sibling, someone who knows something of my character's identity, making them make a call or address a thing that they didn't want to in the first place. So from a player's perspective, while Eric and I worked together on the sort of time shark of it all and figuring out what would happen with multi-tool and preserver, it's true. This was a total shock to me. And people in Discord I know are being like, was Amanda's gasp right? Was it fake? Was it true? Totally real, y'all. I was so astonished I didn't even know what to say. And you are hearing my real reactions, learning about what's happening and how to deal with it.
This is the thing about Amanda that y'all don't understand, is that she somehow speaks or reacts in perfect sound bites or sound cues. So, like, if you are me or someone else, you could collect them over time and you'd have a perfect soundboard of reactions that sound like they were, like, directed. But no, she's just perfect.
My full simulacrum. Thank you. I have been video blogging since 2006, so I think that might be a part of it.
It really defined your tone.
I did.
I think something that Amanda was also surprised about, which I wasn't even thinking about, was that when we were discussing what Rowan's powers were going to be, Rowan's powers were a lot more earthbending. But that did not really fit as terrifyingly powerful as the Nova playbook is supposed to be. Amanda, can you read the flavor text for the Nova and then the different powers that they list?
Yes.
That of possible powers your Nova can be.
Absolutely. The flavor text is, you're a font of power. Channel it and you can remake the world into exactly what you want. Unleash it, you can do miracles. It's wonderful and terrifying. Lose control for even a second and other people get hurt. And the power options are telekinesis and telepathy, sorcery, biokinesis, elemental control, which is sort of what I was flirting with the ground powers, gravity manipulation, which I chose, and cosmic energies.
Yeah. So you can see like the superhero allusions to these folks, right? It's like, we're talking about Jean Grey, we're talking about Doctor Strange, we're talking about Adam Strange, like the literal most powerful people in comics. But it's like, if you're not, elemental manipulation is like all elements, right?
Right.
Yeah.
That needs to be like Magneto metal control, or like you need to be the Avatar. You can't just do earthbending.
And also, the more I thought about earthbending, the closer I got to Toph from Avatar. And I was like, I can't just be her.
Right. So like having Miriam be like that and having earthbending on her own, while Rowan has something that's like very unknowable with gravity control, or like and unknowable and all encompassing, I thought was important to kind of distinguish that. Although Miriam is very, very powerful, is she as powerful as Rowan? Is she more powerful than Rowan? I mean, on its face, she's not the Nova, but she's something else.
Good choices. I like it.
Who knows?
So my first instinct was, hey, it's gonna do that power. Just a minute.
Hey, wait a minute.
All right, folks, I am going to step into the kitchen, refresh our plate of snacks. I hope you're enjoying the Nerds clusters in uranium color.
Ooh. Are there Nerds clusters that are dipped in chocolate? I want that.
Ooh.
That looks like poop. That looks like cat scat.
Nah. Pop those
Eric,
in my mouth, homie.
All the best candies look like that. Butterfinger
Ferrero
BBs, Milk Duds, Ferrero Rocher.
Fucking bit of honey, Brandon. We're going to start this again.
Hey, we're in our 30s now. Hey, if your poops look like Ferrero Rocher, go see a doctor.
Be right back. Hello, everybody. It's Amanda, and welcome to The Midroll, which is brought to you this week by the smell of wet concrete. Also, the smell of wet bluestone. Also, the smell of wet brick. I guess I just love the smell of the outside after it rains. Folks, I would like to remind you that if you are trying to, kind of be careful about where you're spending your time on Al Gore's internet, you can indeed have like a beautiful, wonderful bubble where all you do is talk to people who are kind and love Join the Party on our patron-only Discord. This is honestly the number one reason that folks name for joining the Patreon, because it's a wonderful place. So if you go to patreon.com/jointhepartypod, you can do a free trial. You can see what it's like, poke around, see if you like it, and then hopefully stick around. You can have a monthly membership. You can sign up with a 10% discount for an entire year and just pay one bill one time and then support Join the Party for an entire year on an annual plan. Join us for not just the Discord, but bi-weekly party planning, a discount on our merch, ad-free episodes, and more. Join today at patreon.com/jointhepartypod. Lots of stuff going on at Multitude, the podcast collective of which we are a member. And one of the most exciting parts of the year for me, I know I went on and on about the annual survey, but I also love what comes right afterward, which is the multi-crew drive. Now, this is unlike a kind of typical like membership drive where we're like, hey, like spend your money with us, please. Like, yeah, you can do that. That's great. But also, we just want to thank the people who are already part of the multi-crew. We want to show you whether you're in the multi-crew or not, which is like a membership program supporting Multitude, new work, trying weird stuff, making resources for all of podcasting, all the stuff that we do every day. And we're just going to show you some of the cool stuff you let us do. So we are going to have supersized live streams that everybody can attend, weird, incredible bonus episodes for the multi-crew. And don't worry, we'll show you some previews, a challenge that you can take home, a scavenger hunt, yes, a scavenger hunt, and more. So we are so excited. It's kicking off Monday, September 15th. So if you want to be ahead of the curve and become a part of the multi-crew, or just read a little bit more about what it is and what it helps us do, go to multitudeshows.com. I'm so excited. Stay tuned. We are sponsored once again this week by our friends at United by Blue. I don't know about you, but I am seeing all kinds of plastic crap all over the world and streets and these stores for sort of back to school season. And I am very happy to report that I didn't buy anything from United by Blue this year because I still have my insulated steel tumbler and backpack and reusable straw set with a cleaner that I bought from them years back. And that's kind of their whole thing. They want to make products created to last because ultimately, unlike most of capitalism, they understand that being a conscious consumer means consuming less. So if you are in the market to buy a beautiful ceramic mug that's going to last you a really long time, a hiking backpack that you're going to be using 30 years from now. I just got recently wool socks to wear with my work boots because I wanted to protect my little tootsies from calluses. All of that stuff United by Blue has got, and they really focus on sustainable manufacturing, reducing single-use plastic, and as a bonus, they even remove a pound of trash from our oceans and waterways for every product you purchase. So go to unitedbyblue.com and use the code JOINTHEPARTY to get 20% off your order. Once again, that's unitedbyblue.com, and the code is JOINTHEPARTY for 20% off your order. All right, folks, we are back. I hope you're enjoying the custom color of Nerds Gummy Clusters. I think if I was a celebrity and I could commission like, you know, a white label of candy for my own party, I know you can get like M&Ms to your specifications, etc. Nah, I want Nerds clusters. I want Nerds ropes. I want like Nerds in a gigantic box that you can turn like one of those cereal things at a motel. That's what I want.
Amanda, we could do that last one.
Yeah.
Oh,
you're right.
Yeah.
I could just buy that. That might be bad for my health, though.
For your 40th birthday. You're going to die anyway. You're over the hill. We'll just, we'll get one of those things filled with nerds.
Forget about your teeth. Don't worry about those now. It's too late.
Shout out to my favorite combination of nerds, which you don't see very often. I think it might be like more of a Canadian thing. Amanda, do you want to guess?
I think I know what you're going to say. Go ahead.
Go ahead. The peach and wildberry combination is...
It's like orange and green, right?
It's orange and blue, and it's chef's kiss.
I've
so
never even
beautiful.
heard of that.
Yeah,
that sounds
they're really
delicious.
Mm-hmm.
So good. Back to the questions, everybody. This one's from Katya. How do we know for certain that our current campaign, Campaign 4, is in the same universe/timeline as Campaign 2? Now, there was some very great discussion, speculation in the Discord about it. Do we want to confirm here, live on air, that this is definitely the same universe or timeline?
Well, we know that there's no multiverse, so...
There's no alternate timelines. Who can say?
This is the same universe, I promise.
Okay.
You guys all got indoctrinated by big multiverse. Like, I promise it's the same universe. I promise.
Unless...
Who can say? All right, here's a question from 3 Kids in a Trench Coat. Does Water's Edge ever put on spool productions, and what do they look like? Are kids allowed to use their powers for special effects? Have any of the 3 main characters ever taken part?
Do we think that the theater teacher is like their powers is like the powers of spotlight or the powers of lighting?
Interesting.
I have to imagine. So again, Julie and I went to a crazy theater program. I have to imagine that the theater director at Water's Edge is insane, and that they go out and recruit middle schoolers and be like, "Come on, you got to have something. You got to have some kind of power," just because they want to cast. Maybe they cast normies, and then the Water's Edge students do the tech. I don't know.
That's fun. I don't know. I like it all.
Yeah. I mean, you definitely have to have like some shapeshifters who are part of the cast. You probably have some like persuasion powers or charming powers people.
Ooh.
I don't know.
What if I guess they're techs who do this, but the people that change the sets during the blackouts, what if they're like people who can be stagehands? Thank you. What if they're people that can be shadows, so they can just like sort of like float along the floor and push the thing out?
Yeah, like Wendy from season 2.
Mm-hmm.
A water vapor power person does all the fog work.
Ooh, I like that.
Very good.
Real quick, what play were we each of our characters in when we were little kids? When we were little cute little kids, little 6-year-olds? You know,
well,
those like dumb little school plays that you know that aren't actual role plays. It's like, here's how the Native Americans and the colonists ate on Thanksgiving. Ignore all the imperialist vibes, you know, that kind of thing.
I feel like Kraft would have been a tree.
I think Rowan did lots of Purim plays at her school growing up, but I was thinking about it. I think maybe someone did Taming of the Shrew in Water's Edge, and Rowan was like, "Just let me."
I thought you were going to say Child Taming of the Shrew.
I know,
like,
me too.
What?
Wait, hold on. Wait, Kraft being a tree? That's so sad that Dr. Prometheus needed Kraft to be in some sort of school play. Is like, there's no way Kraft was in an elementary school.
Oh, no, 100%. I'm just saying, theoretically, if Kraft had been a small child in an elementary school play, it would have been as a tree.
Now, would Kraft have taken her arms off and put them on her head?
Oh.
I don't know.
Or at least one
I'm
arm,
imagining like Kraft doesn't even get the speaking lines. It's all done by robots, and Kraft is just standing there as a tree.
Wait, Dr. Prometheus making his own
That's
plays
really
with the
good.
robots is so funny.
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah.
1,000%.
Like
That's wild.
either Dr. Prometheus like shuts down a school and like keeps it in a blizzard the whole time, and it's like, you're gonna put my child in your play, and then just has to stand there while everyone else is like under laser point. Or Dr. Prometheus puts it on at his like volcano lair, and you're still a tree.
I like that he's putting it on at the volcano later, and it's like, this is how parenting works.
I'm a good parent. I read it in this book.
Okay, here is a question from Ben there, Aloha. Campaign 2 had 7 arcs with about 7 episodes each, whereas Campaign 4 already has the same number of arcs where we currently stand with just 2 to 4 episodes each. This works great from my perspective to enhance the episodic comic books set through a school year vibes, but I'm curious, how has this affected your thinking as players and as a GM?
Oh.
Great question, Ben.
I don't think of it as a player.
Oh, I
No, me
do
neither.
think of it as a player, and I do think that it makes me have to remember to like pick up certain plot points and threads in the future, because I feel like in general, Eric lays out so many beautiful little threads for us to pull and stuff like that, and we often leave them and kind of forget about them. And so for me, I'm just like, okay, I have to remember that this is a thing, and I have to circle back on that and, you know, put it into the current arc, even if that's not what the arc was designed for necessarily.
Yeah. That's why I had to let Julia go and bake her cake and bring it back to me.
Yeah. There's lemon zest.
Oh, there's lemon zest in this one. Interesting. I'll have to make sure to put this with other things that taste like lemon. Sure.
Yay.
I mean, I definitely think about it. There's especially with Monster of the Week and masks, I'm using different media as a jumping off point for that stuff. With, you know, Campaign 1 was just straight up fantasy novel. Campaign 2 felt like, you know, comic booky, but it was still very much informed by, you know, Dungeons and Dragons. Dungeons and Dragons requires just like longer arcs because there's so much more like little gritty things to do. It's like you get stuck fighting someone for an entire episode, and then it's like, all right, well, we got to keep moving. And then Campaign 3 was definitely informed by anime. Like, arcs were longer, but maybe, like, less stuff happened in every single episode. And then this one is very much like, yeah, like the comic book storytelling, I'm very informed by television cartoons with this one. It's like, if you want to have a 2-parter, that's like having a 4-part episode to me. Like, every session to me, quote unquote, is 2 episodes. And then it's kind of all unraveling from there.
Mm.
Ben also observed players, has it been easier or harder to decide how characters interact and grow with less time per arc and lots of time skips? You're doing great from my perspective. But Eric, are you and the players having off-mic talks between arcs to figure out what comes next, how far ahead to jump, or do you just come up with the new situation / time of year and toss it out there?
Mm.
I mean, from my
Or
perspective,
the latter.
Yeah, the latter. Like, I think Eric trusts us, or maybe it's more interesting at least to like have to make us improv what we feel and change over time. But yeah.
There isn't a lot I get to surprise you guys with. So it's like deciding what time does is almost the thing that I get to keep in my pocket and be like, hey, this is what's happening.
What that time do? What that time jump do? What that time jump do?
What that time jump do?
What that time jump do is Miriam.
But I think this is also going back to the first half of the question, which is like, I try to add a little thing at the beginning of an arc being like, I'm paying attention to the things that you're asking us about, Eric. That's why Kraft was coding on the Game Boy at the beginning of the most recent arc, because I wanted to lay in that Kraft in that time skip has been thinking about who was the person who organized the mad science meetup in the first place.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You are really good at that, Julia, and it's something that I'm trying to do more often. And I think it really makes sense with having shorter arcs and being a team, that like you have to do the, daily grind of all the shit you got to do all day. And yet you're also growing up, learning, making important decisions. And so for me, the shorter arcs really almost conversely force me to think longer term and make sure that Rowan is making progress and thinking about the big things that are happening, before we know it's going to be spring.
Yeah.
I think I'm lucky in that I'm bad at that, but the in character reasoning is that like, and he hasn't dealt with this yet, but Connor's sort of like drifting's the wrong word, but sort of like everything's sort of always worked out for him in some way that we haven't explored why yet. But so he doesn't really have to think about long-term stuff because it all just kind of works out. So
yeah, who knows why Connor's always number 8 on the rankings? Who knows?
Who can say really?
Who can say really? I think we kind of saw this with the transition from the Elemental Bonds arc to The Light in the Woods, where Miss Rita was like, hey, what's going on with the three of you? What is up, guys?
Mm-hmm.
And the three of you were like, nothing? And she's like, that's not true. I know that's not true.
We said, this is not therapy. I cannot tell you my emotions.
She's like, that's not what I meant by saying it's not therapy. That's not what I meant. And going from like, this mad scientist meetup happening randomly after midterms and, Connor and Rick Powers having a massive drag out fight and like a wormhole opening up underneath the school for a hot second there. And then we immediately are just like, so like, hey, will you guys work on Sunday for me? Like, is that cool? And that's very much the kind of flow that I'm looking for with this like cartoon style, self-contained stories that are chained together in some sort of way. It's like, if you want to look at the chain, you can, but we can kind of look at each individual thing on its own until it starts to bubble up and you try to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
On that very important note, this is perhaps best for last situation. Question from Moss. What is your headcanon for how big Frug really is?
Frog.
I'm thinking like maybe 2 feet tall. Frog. Sorry, I'm not good at my pronunciation of multiple vowels. Maybe he's only a couple inches tall. Is he like 4 feet tall? Is he anthropomorphic? Is he a big frog? Everybody go around and say your headcanon of Frog. Mine is simply a large toad-sized frog. Speaking in a human voice.
Is that what you've been imagining this entire time, Amanda?
Yes.
Oh,
Wait.
no.
So how big is that, Amanda?
18 inches, like 18 inches tall.
Jeez. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, like when you see a frog, when you see a frog at the zoo, and it's like, look at that big frog.
Yeah. Small
Yeah.
turtle, big frog.
Can fit in a large crock pot.
I think I posted this in the Discord, but I do just picture Frog as like a mask version of Sue from My Hero Academia.
Yeah.
Can you describe that person for folks who have not been so indoctrinated?
Yeah, it's just kind of like a frog-esque girl. That's it.
Fair.
That's it.
Real glimmer vibes.
Frog is just like 5'4".
Yeah. You can just search My Hero Academia TSU. And then there you go.
Yeah.
Well,
Great.
unfortunately, you're all wrong because I forget who made Frog originally, but Frog is now mine because I
You
said
made
Frog.
Frog originally, Brandon.
You did.
Oh, okay, good. Well, Frog is just
Great news.
Frog is just Toad from X-Men for the X-Men 90s cartoon.
Ah.
Right, yeah.
Which is honestly similar to what I'm saying, Brandon, because
Yes.
they look vaguely similar.
She's just like an anime girly who has frog-esque features. Basically the anime version of the Toad from the 90s X-Men cartoon.
Yes,
yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, less hip action, but like, yeah.
Yeah, it's like I said, a little bit more of a mask version of this character.
I think the reason why we're not sure is that Frog is not paired with a giant character, which I feel like small character, large character. When I think about the 90s X-Men cartoon, I mean, it's Toad and Blob, who was like a kajillion pounds and like 10 feet tall.
Yeah.
See, I was picturing our 18-inch high Frog on top of Teamcast, almost like, how people would put like decorations and vases on top of their TV, like that.
Yeah, like how everyone puts a frog on top of their TV.
Yeah,
everyone. Yeah,
you don't? Oh. Weird time to bring that up, Julia.
Weird.
Having been to my house.
My fourth grade teacher, maybe just someone in my teacher within my elementary school had, I think it was a pet. I don't know if it was visiting or a pet, but one day introduced us to, I don't know the exact type of frog, but it was a like African frog that are like literally like the size of a small dog. Like, they're huge. They're really cool. So now that you're saying like 18-inch tall frog, I'm just picturing that.
Damn. Metal.
Did you know that Toad from Marvel Comics, his first name is Mortimer?
Mortimer Toad!
That's so fucked up.
I will also say we never described the body appearance of Todd, did we?
I think he's just normal human.
But normal human is lots of body types, Julia.
He was just like a weird burnout to me. Like when you're in high school and you see someone who like graduated 3 years later and then like is still hanging around the high school and you see around town.
But none of y'all are describing the body features.
So, and as I'm going to finish my next sentence, Brandon, it's like he always was just like, he's like a little too skinny and like his hair is cut a little too short and like he always has like weird cuts on his face.
I was picturing Jay from Jay and Silent Bob.
That's pretty good. Yeah, pretty good.
Or is he like Blob from X-Men?
I thought he was more of a wastoid. So yeah, like closer to what Julia said. Like he looks like a guy who works in
Clerks.
Yes.
It's
go. Like anyone working at a gas station is what Todd Swaffer looks like to me. You know, in any of those various body types, he could be, but he was always just like gross.
I think he's Blob.
Okay, fair enough.
I mean, I also, Amanda didn't even comment on this, but I think Todd Swapper reminded me of Todrick Hall, who shows up on Big Brother all the time. So it's like, he's like, this guy is annoying. Like the most important thing is that he is annoying and a little bit and keeps you on edge.
There actually is a dungeon master on Big Brother this year, and he keeps like being kind of shocked that his headcanon for how things are going and how they should go is not what's happening in reality. And my friend Leslie had a really like poignant insight as to like if he's used to like architecting the story and kind of like setting up situations for players to do what he expects them to do, then it is like a little bit understandable why he approaches the game that way. So it's really fascinating.
Interesting.
He must not be experienced because, like in Big Brother and Dungeons and Dragons, nothing goes the way you think it's going to go.
That's true. Got to get better at improv.
Yeah.
I have a question for my fellow players, I guess, in terms of talking about the most recent episode and how we kind of left things off and feeling a little overwhelmed, I guess, with what to do with Miriam.
I don't know why when you just started that, in my head, when you said, I have a question for my fellow players, I had the innate response to just run out of the room.
Oh,
really
I'm
quickly.
sorry. I'm sorry my tone was like accusatory. Well, no, this is really interesting because I do think that, again, this is an issue of splitting the party, right? Because Kraft and Rowan met Miriam and then brought Miriam back to Connor's room. So Connor has no idea really who this sort of doppelganger is. And then immediately we were like, we need to talk to an adult.
Excuse me, not we.
Well, no. So this is my question,
Really?
Brandon, is Amanda, why did you feel like, oh, we have to bring Miss Rita into this situation? And Brandon, why did you feel like it was we can't tell an adult about this yet?
No, it's a really good question. And I think for Rowan, it was like, I can't hide someone under my bed. I was kind of expecting that we would just kind of like hide her and like show her around, and then eventually Miriam would like come to the school's attention. But I think Miriam was more forceful than Rowan expected, and more like demanding of like, no, I want to like get going on this and do something now, and I want to go to school right now. And I think that smuggling a person into the school who then we later wanted the school to admit and to let her enroll felt like, oh, okay, shit, wait, no, this has to kind of like be on paper somewhere and adults have to know about it. So that was really honestly like me trying to channel the character and act in the moment. And it's not often that I make a choice that I know my other co-players are going to be like, oh no, but that was one.
And so for Connor, it wasn't that he didn't want to involve an adult or whatever. It was that the way that Miriam was brought into the dorm room was very secretive, and y'all were unsure. And then Connor already had covered for you with the text messages with Rita. And did I have to cover for you again? Because did she knock on the door? Yeah, that's what happened, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there was a second covering that
it's like we're in too deep.
Yeah, so it was Connor was reading the situation like y'all wanted to keep this a secret. So he was trying to do that for y'all, and then Rowan just immediately threw that in the trash. And throwing it in the trash would have been fine. It was, why are you making me look bad and look like I am the one that lied to everyone about this because she's in my dorm room? We could have just all calmly walked Miriam to the principal's office.
Like the next day. Yeah.
Valid.
This is really funny. Also, in the beginning of the previous arc, everyone keeps messing around in Connor's room. Like,
I like this as a trope personally.
I mean, it's the mythos of them. Like, let's be real.
And you keep bringing problems to his room too, like bringing in someone he doesn't like and blowing it up. And then it's like, hey, while you made me stay at home and listen to Hedgehogio talk about Tenet, you smuggled someone into my room. That's crazy. Yeah, I mean, Miss Rita was leaning on you really hard. I think I always kind of knew that I wanted her to be kind of the liaison for if you ended up introducing, giving Miriam what she wanted to bring her to the school. Miss Rita would be the one to have to like intake her. So having her like roaming throughout episode 1 and then in episode 2, I think was very important. It's like, is this a hall monitor or should we tell an adult? Like, what is the difference? I mean, what's the difference? It's like, are you trying to run away from the cops, or do you need to actually reach out to the person who's providing you support? It all kind of depends on how you see Miss Rita and Wordsmith, which is something I've been thinking about the whole entire campaign.
Yeah. And then one last question. How are we all feeling about Rick Powers and the kind of revelation of the powers tell me when there's things happening, and then I come to where the powers are telling me to go?
Oh,
I don't like it.
Yeah, I was
thinking
thinking about this. I was definitely thinking about this specifically at the end of Elemental Bonds. We're like, man, so like you spent Elemental Bonds 1 figuring out there is a science thing, and here's everything that happened in Science 2, right? Like the doors got locked, everyone you kind of hung out, and then Rick Powers busted down the door, and Connor and Rick Powers had a massive drag out fight in front of everyone else, and then the scientists were like, hey, I know how I'll fix this. I'll open up a hole to space. And then everyone's like, okay, fine. And then it all got shut down and you left. Like, it kind of reminds me of this, that scene in like the last season of Steven Universe, where it's like, hey, have you sustained a lot of violence in your life? Because it seems like your body's freaking out. It really reminded me of like just the escalation of a superhero brawl. And then it just kind of gets dispelled. Because that's just how it goes from 0 to 60 and then back to 0 so fast.
Maybe it's just me, folks, but I have a feeling that things will continue to escalate next issue on Join the Party. Are we ready for Who Can Say?
Let's do it.
All right, here's a question from EP. I think there's something intensely suspicious on the in-canon emphasis on multiverses not being real for sure. There've got to be different timelines or just the future and we're all thinking too hard. There's got to be more to this.
Who can say?
Who can say?
Big Marvel and DC, big Disney is getting into your head. The multiverse is a trope being pushed recently, I promise.
And even they are trying to get rid of that.
Yeah, they're only doing it so that they can promote their own IP. Like they're not doing it for your benefit.
Question from Mage. Given how much Eric likes golem mythology, what are the odds Miriam is a golem versus actually a young Polish girl from 19X with powers who got lost in the woods?
Now, this is an interesting one to me because golems typically don't have like their own powers besides being big and strong, yes?
Yeah, but the trope, like, Captain America's a golem. What do you think about it? So, it's kind of not a traditional one maybe, but, something being made to defend a town and then is more powerful than a regular human, that counts.
Gotcha.
It's like it's on that it's like on that chart. It's like what is a ravioli? Is a Pop-Tart a ravioli? It's like it depends how radical you are.
If it's an Eric Silver joint, I think there may be a golem at some point. And some questions from Penguin. I gotta know more about Miriam's past. She's 13 siblings. How the hell did that work out? Is there a multiverse? I'm starting to kind of suspect it.
As one can only have 13 older siblings if they're spread out amongst the multiverse. I see.
That's
famously.
Right. That's right. Don't worry, there was a king of Poland in this universe. That's the only thing that's different than our universe.
The one thing I will remind everyone is that we're not exactly in our Earth exactly.
Yes.
Like so don't even like
Yes.
Earth history isn't
ain't gonna
perfect.
history.
Yeah.
We didn't have the great fishering.
Yeah.
Maybe the king of Poland in real life fell into the fishering, and now we
You're
don't
so
remember that king
right.
of Poland.
Maybe
Poland held on as a country, as a kingdom longer. I got confused because I forgot, the Byzantine Empire was around until like World War I.
Yeah.
I got all confused about all that stuff, so it's fine.
Here.
And then, sorry, this snuck in somehow. Finally, from Katya. Do we know for sure this is the same universe as Camp-Paign 2? I just want to check.
Just making sure.
I promise. Yes, it is. I promise.
You've made many promises to us, sir, while DMing, and sometimes they were tricks and lies.
Name five.
I can't name 5.
All right, everybody, that'll do it for this after party. I can promise you, things are about to pop off. So stay tuned for next week's brand spanking new episode of Join the Party. Bye, everyone.
Rick Power rules.
I love Rick Powers. What a good guy. I love that guy.
Wrong.
Bye.
Later.
Bye from Rick Powers.
May your rolls turned ever upward.